Welcome to If I Did It, a show where we analyze and solve pure kerfuffles from a world not beyond. I'm your host, Lexi Old, author, Seven Secret Sources Inspiration, a snappy guide for creative procrastinators. And joining me as always is Kid Nate from Bloody Elbow and of the Let It Roll podcast. And also Eugene Robinson from Ozzy.com and author of Fight Everything You Ever wanted to know about ass kicking, but we're afraid you get your ass kicked for asking.
Yes, sir.
Collectively MMA Puncholes. It gets better and better every week.
Only yourself to blame. Thank for that. The guy who said he didn't like it. It's for you.
I thank him too because the more dramatic it gets, the better it gets, baby.
Eugene, nobody's probably ever told you this, but I'm beginning to notice that you're pretty good with the vocal effects. Have you ever thought about like karaoke night or something?
Because I'm a singer, you get guys who are always inviting me to karaoke because they think it's going to be fun. And it's like those same guys who say to me, "Hey, man, Eugene, I want to get you drunk, man." And I said, "You think that's going to be fun, huh?" I tell you who it's going to be fun for. It's going to be fun for me. Yeah, you know who it's not going to be fun for? Everybody else. So,
well, you know what? That sounds like a perfect segue.
Yes.
Into our first topic, Eugene, something that's maybe fun for one person, but not so much for everyone else. Because you're the UFC.
You talk about MMA? It's fun for one person and not for anyone else?
That's right. You, the UFC. Accused domestic violencer Greg Hardy just annihilated his opponent in less than 1 minute. Live and in public, if you will, on Dana White's Contender series. How do you prepare for the inevitable media onslaught arising from being in the Greg Hardy business?
You remember Kevin Nealon? Do you remember Kevin Nealon?
I do.
He used to do this football subliminal guy thing with football where he would interject football words that it was not so subliminal guy football. And if I'm the bald one and the football UFC, what I do is talk about football. What a terrible situation with football we have with professional athletes these days. Football, and at least in the UFC, we have a remediation program that involves zero tolerance. So though he may football have done bad things in the past when he played football, that you would easily say that the buck stops here with me. And that going henceforth into the future, I've been assured that people are doing what the letter of the law demands, and more importantly, what decent people football would do with MMA football.
What about you, Nate?
It's hard to argue with that. Although,
I'm sorry, did you say football?
I was thinking football.
Okay.
I can't figure out why, but I was thinking football. The thing with Greg Hardy, and I want to announce that I've got a conflict of interest here because I'm in the MMA business, running Bloody Elbow and MMA Mania, and even Cage Side Seats a little bit. And I care about MMA fighting as well as a sister site with Vox. So I've got a conflict of interest, right? I totally want Greg Hardy in the UFC for some odd reason because dude is famous and dude can fucking fight. Like, he's an incredibly gifted athlete. He's way more physically talented than most anybody in the UFC heavyweight division right now, with the exception of maybe the top. Well, no, he's more physically talented than anybody in the UFC right now.
Hey, man, he's no CM Punk, Now,
he is no CM Punk. Yes, this is true. He's 29, not 99 or whatever CM is. He weighs, 200 something, not one. I don't know. How much does Meringue weigh? That was my question. Was CM Punk?
Openly laughing. There was open laughter.
It was, oh my God. So this is classic, just like looking for a short-term fix because you're already in trouble. This is classic, like, dude who gambled away the rent money, deciding he's going to start selling meth on the side without telling his wife and just make it all back up.
Ashy Larry.
Yeah. And, This sort of shit catches up with you in the end. And Greg Hardy got drummed out of the NFL, not just for the domestic violence accusations, which were heinous, but then dropped. But he was given a second chance and was such a screaming jackass that he got drummed off the Cowboys and nobody else would take him. The beauty of MMA is not a team sport. He doesn't have to get along with anybody else. He just has to.
And it welcomes screaming jackasses.
It does. It's made for him. I mean, honestly, if you believe in the concept of second chances,
or third or fourth,
yeah, where else are you going to put dudes like this other than fighting in cages? I mean, it's like if you were just to introduce people to society, you know, an alien from space as a blank slate, and you'd be like, well, and there's also this class of guys who are physically gifted and brutal. They not so good in an office environment, not necessarily gifted artists or musicians or anything, not really good factory workers. What if we have them fight in cages for the amusement of everybody else? The alien's not going to go, oh my God, what barbarians. They're going to go, that's probably a good way to make use of these people as semi-productive members of society. The downside is these guys inevitably fuck up every fucking time. I don't want to know what Eugene's doing behind the darkness there. But anyway, so
only you saw it, and now you called attention to it, which is me cleaning my camera.
I see. So, I mean, it's just a matter of being ready to cut your losses on this dude as fast as possible.
Aren't they in that business anyway?
What?
They're in that business anyway, right? Making the fast buck.
Yeah.
Like that CM Punk.
Yeah. You just hope the guy doesn't go full Brett Rogers while he's under contract with the UFC. One saving grace of the inevitable, sad, tragic decline and fall of not very nice people who find their way into UFC careers is they generally bottom out after they get cut by the UFC. Mayhem Miller, the Punk, what was his name? The guy that sicked the dog on his wife, allegedly, or maybe even got convicted. Anyway, people like this. Brett Rogers got way worse after his UFC career. So that's
really? What happened to Brett Rogers?
Well, the last I heard from Brett Rogers, who was accused of sexually assaulting somebody in jail or sexual hijinks of some, he was handsy with his celly after a string of,
I was blocking that out because I like dude, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I mean, can you imagine waking up in your jail cell and your roomie is Brett Rogers and he's feeling frisky? Like,
grim.
Or ugly, you know, he's in a bad mood, like whatever. You don't want to be in that box with him. So just count your lucky stars and hope that, you know, if he inevitably comes to a bad end, which inevitable is a cruel thing. He's got a fighting chance, but brace yourself, PR fellas.
And not like that CTE is going to put things in a positive direction. Jeez.
Well, I sent him a package of herbal remedies that clears that shit right up.
What about
tea tree extract?
$4,000 of essential oils should take care of that too.
Exactly. And if you follow the whole Gwyneth Paltrow how to steam your vagina thing, I think, you know, just follow the steps on Goop from Gwyneth Paltrow. That's CTE.
And you said that website was?
I believe it's called Goop. I've never actually been
there. It is Goop.
Yeah.
It's called Goop.
You know what's sad? What is that thing that Abraham Lincoln said? You know, better to be thought an idiot than to open your mouth and remove all doubt. Man, I actually sort of like Gwyneth Paltrow, and then she opened her mouth, and it's like, God damn, you're a bubblehead. Get the fuck out of here with your Goop, you know?
Yeah. You think she steams her vagina or just tells other people to do it?
You know what? It's 6 of one, half dozen of the other. Who cares?
Yeah. See, people are getting all on Allison Mack's case, but, you know, for doing that stuff. But anyway, you're
pretty much in public. If you're talking about your privates, something has gone very, very wrong, or you're hilarious, right?
What if you can wrap it around your wrist twice, like Andy Dick?
Yeah, well, he's hilarious.
Okay.
So
one guy who is hilarious,
or he has very small wrist.
I can't talk about his wrists, but he was funny. Nate, you're Michael Bisping. Do you owe interim welterweight champion Colby Covington and the fans an apology for performing as a pro wrestling color commentator a la David Crockett in the NWA days or Jesse the Body Ventura instead of a well-heeled Fox analyst on FS1's post-UFC 225 show?
Well, no, Bisping does not owe anybody an apology. He's Michael Bisping. He didn't. What I agree with John Anik that I don't think it was disgraceful, but I don't think that was really appropriate. I think I'm cutting the guy some slack because the rule is if you're a current athlete, you can say things and do things that you can't if you're not an athlete, even if you're a former athlete. Just watch the guys on the NFL shows or the NBA shows. Charles Barkley doesn't try to get all up in LeBron James's face like I can get out there and do this better than you. He doesn't. He treats the athletes with some respect because they're currently on the court, in the cage. Bisping needs to realize that and not act like a fighter because he's not a fighter anymore. So, but no, he doesn't owe anybody an apology. However, he should be looking at the next few months as a tryout for ESPN and not assume that he's got a spot guaranteed. Because if every post-fight show ends up being about Michael Bisping instead of the fighters, dude,
he'll get his own show.
Yeah, they're not in the Michael Bisping business anymore. That's the problem. They're still in the pay-per-view business. They can't pay-per-view Michael Bisping in a suit talking to people.
That was the smartest thing that Nate said in a long time. But just the last part. The first part, I disagree. And I'll tell you why.
How dare you?
I think first of all, I've never been a big Bisping fan, but at odd times I veered very close to kind of enjoying his shtick. Like I enjoyed when he got knocked out by Dan Henderson. That was pretty wonderful. And then I even enjoyed him when he knocked out the rich guy Luke Rockhold, even though Luke Rockhold is almost a known associate and almost kind of quasi friend and knuckle up. I could just see he wasn't taking Cat seriously, and you can't do that, So I didn't like it when he ripped off Rivera. I didn't like it when I thought was handed to him on the platter to build up UFC in the UK, the win over Anderson Silva, which I didn't think was a bona fide win, but whatever. I have enjoyed his gift to gab, and in this instance, it sounded like he found a fitting target. It's not just the animus I bear the piece of shit Colby Crappington, but it has to do with the fact that somebody—
You're such a mark.
I am a mark, but it's they've made it easy to be a mark. In fact, I'd like to say since the opposite of love is not hate, it's disinterest, I can say that he has healthily earned my disinterest. And the more you shove him down my throat, you're forcing him into that north butt category where it's just somebody I don't care about. And moreover, I feel sorry for your repeated attempts at trying to get me to love this guy or hate this guy or feel anything other than disinterest. That fight was Francis Carmont-esque, and then he won it in a people were like getting down into the weeds. Well, look at the point. I'm not looking at the points. I'm looking at 225 in aggregate, and it stunk of pulling cards from the fucking Rolodex of WWE from top to fucking bottom. You can't tell me that all of those things happen to go that way as a coincidence. If you believe that, that's fine, because you'll believe anything. So I like the fact that for there was a fly in the ointment, a monkey in the wrench, a spanner in the works, that for a moment in time that somebody was like, you know what, I'm just going to depart from the narrative a little bit here. And because if he was helping burnish the brand of Colby Crappington as heel, he veered from it when it got personal. And I love those moments. And all you have to look, you know how many times I've been naked on stage? Do you know how many times? In actual fact, probably only 3. But it's become like, it's the kind of thing where people are like, oh, I got guys coming up to me in Holland complaining about not seeing my cock. I go, man, that's a parlor trick. Yesteryear.
I get that every time I go to Holland. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, exactly. And then the guy follows it up with, I'm not gay, but I really want to see your penis tonight. Of course, because all guys who aren't gay want to see my penis tonight. Why don't you just buy the CD, go home, and enjoy yourself, But so in this instance, I like that there was, Bisping doesn't, the show's not about Bisping. It's got to think about ESPN commentary, but that was edgy commentary. It wasn't always about Bisping. And a little bit of that goes a long way, and I'm saying that he's savvy enough to realize that. But yeah, that last part about it not being about him was dead on the money. I don't think he made that mistake, but somebody needed to give that fucking prick a little pushback,
What about John Anik calling it disgraceful?
John Anik pretty soon started backpedaling. I like John Anik because he has been prone to tweet out the unlikeliest Eugene Robinson written stories on Ozzy. Like I did something with this Polish academic who said Poland will cease existing as a country by the year 2025, and Anik was fucking tweeting that out. I don't know why he did that, but that was cool. So I don't want to come down the guy. I think he just kind of thought that, you know, he's departing from the company. Who knows? Maybe he was compelled to do it. You know, we have friends at newspapers. They might like a story like that. Maybe he was compelled to do it. I don't know. I suspect everybody at this point that he backed off of it, doubling down on what I think. Okay, if you fart in a room and I say, Nate, please stop farting around the good people. Why would you fart around the good people? Who's wrong? Well, we're both wrong, and I think Anik realized it and backed off.
Man, well, I'd like to see more of that.
Farting around good people?
I miss the all the above. The professional. Look, if you're going to go professional wrestling, you need to have the heel or the involved color commentator. They're already aping it. They might as well go on ahead with it. Again, what they need to do, though, is they need to bring back Yo Romero's old translator. That motherfucker, bring him back in the ring.
Yeah.
Have Bisping around as someone's manager. You know, just embrace it. Don't you dip your toe in it. Just embrace it.
And let me be clear about why. Let me be clear about why Colby Crappington is unlikable. Outside of the fact that he's unlikable. I think what underlies the fact that he is unlikable is a meager skill set, and people will arguably say, "Well, no, he's got a great." I say he's got a Francis Carmont-esque skill set, which means he's a fairly boring fighter and uses this other stuff to dress it up. But lack of originality, I'm watching him ape actual moves that Conor McGregor has pulled off, from the suit to the facial expressions to the tics to the attempt to talk smack, which is Chael Sonnen-esque. But what's crappy about the Johnny come latelys is that they're never quite as good as the original model, you know. And in some cases, it's undeserved. Like Larry Holmes, I'm not Muhammad Ali. I'll never be Muhammad Ali. I'm just a guy who's a heavyweight champion of the world. Love me as I am. That's understandable. But the cheap copies, man, they lower the value of both enterprises, you know.
Like that dude who totally. So let me ask you this then: do you think that he is better or worse in the ring? He's better because this guy was actually entertaining in the ring. Who's the dude that aped Connor's neck tattoos and the suits and everything first?
Oh, that was Lamas.
No. Who's this guy? Remember he had the neck tats and he had the manicured eyebrows and the.
Oh, he did it for real.
You forgot this guy already. He's fighting for the fuck. He humiliated Dominic Cruz, and then got knocked out by There's bad.
Are you talking about TJ Dillashaw?
No, the guy who TJ Dillashaw beat. What's the guy's name again?
Oh yeah. Garbrandt, Cody Garbrandt.
Oh, how quickly we forget.
Yeah. See,
so did you find Garbrandt? Because remember, Garbrandt's trash talking was more painful than Colby Covington's, right?
Well, because
he was totally aping Conor McGregor and talking about himself as like, well, the UFC really believes in my brand, and he was talking about himself like it was a pay-per-view draw before he won anything, and so
there was a delicious absence of pretense with Garbrandt because he wasn't quite smart enough to know how not smart he was, and those people are always fun to have around because you can get them to do things like eat bugs. So they're nice to have around, which makes them fundamentally more likable than somebody like Colby Crappington, who's just smart enough so that you can't convince him to eat a bug, but who's so stupid he doesn't realize he's not being funny. So, in my mind, he's like, he's got a I don't know. I just think about him and Ted Nugent, and then I start thinking about other stuff I like more.
Well, you have to know. What are you saying, Nate?
These are the kids that you not only can't feed them bugs or talk them into eating bugs, but you turn around and they'll be feeding platefuls of bugs to somebody's 2-year-old sister thinking it's funny.
And then running off and telling the grown-ups that you started it.
Yes.
Oh, that's right.
I'm not the snitch thing, man. That as far as I was concerned, that's it. That somebody throws a bag at you or with a boomerang in it, and you call the cops. That's it. Anybody
He's a
who wants
white
to
American, Eugene. The guy was clearly not white. What do? You call the police. I mean, in a conflict, call the police. Don't like the cut of his jib? Call the police. He's grilling charcoal at the park. Call the police. I mean,
you know what I
manual.
do.
We get one.
And I don't understand why people want to do it. I counter call. You know, there's a crazy white lady here. She's threatening me. I don't know if she's got a gun. She's got a puffy jacket on. It's not a day for a puffy jacket. Yeah, I don't know what she's hiding under there. She's threatening everybody. Well, that's what I do. And if they're running gun battles in the street in front of my house like there have been, I also call the police for that.
but you know, the one thing is, with all this love and that you have for Colby Covington, brings us to our final question as the UFC. How do you maximize a Colby Covington championship?
Crappington. Oh, well, you know, clearly you've got yourself, like if you watch the Show Stomper, despite my audio problems with it, if you watch it, you have the three aspects. You have a dollop of personality, athletic skill, and the most important one, number 3, the most important one is pliability. In that guy, you've got all the pliability you need. So maximize him. Yeah, you get him his meeting with Trump. He puts the belt down. He glad hands with the Cheeto. You know, maybe he says something about how hot Melania is, and you know, maybe he rubs her ass a little bit, and puts on his Twitter that his face Instagram that he double teamed it with Donald, and you know, that's the kind of that's level of quality of humor that he's brought to it. Like with the women that he happened to be with in the photo, it said, "Oh, I double teamed all these porn stars," and they had to say, "No, we didn't have an orgy with that creep." Wah, cue the clown music. So,
I'm told in MAGA circles it's considered deeply rude to visit somebody and their wife and not brag afterward about having a threesome. That's what I'm hearing.
That's, you know what? Anytime
like, is my wife not good enough for you to tell everybody all the terrible things that we, you know, like
I've got my wife thinking now when I told her we're walking down the street and I saw 3 people walking down the street and I was like, She goes, "What do you mean? I go, look at him. She goes, "You don't know that." I go, as an inveterate expert in the field, I'm telling you, it's not like every 3 people I see on the street that's the case, but most of them, yes. But in this instance, you know, you don't have to do much to maximize this guy. You know, he's demonstrated himself willing to do anything. He's been given something. The question is, when I talk about works, yeah, and people, oh yeah, work. You don't have to. What kind of work? What kind of work what happened at the Wannsee Council in fucking Germany when they stumbled on the solution, the final solution for the Jewish problem? It was like everybody knew what it was. It didn't even have to really be articulated. Historians are looking for the piece of paper where it was actually written down. You know, I mean, they also used to talk about things in Nazi Germany that I love, special handling. Nobody had to have it written down what exactly constituted special handling. They all fucking knew. So, you know, whether or not he knew he was going to be given the decision or not, I think it was well known that if it went to a decision, he was going to get the decision. And if RDA didn't know that he had to actually physically stop this guy so he couldn't continue, then people now are on fucking notice. When you get against these company guys, you got to snuff them in the cage because you're going to get fucking reamed beyond a shadow of a doubt because the fix is in. Like Leonard Cohen said, everybody knows the dice are loaded. So, and if you want to argue the individual points with me, that's fine. You want to go round by round, that's fine. You want to look at fight metrics, that's fine. I'm talking about in aggregate. So you let the guy he'll do whatever you say. That's fine. He's probably not asking for lots of money. That's even better. You know, and you run him out there and he keeps running his mouth and you know, pretty soon he's gonna lose eventually, even if now that people know what they know. So you just let him be him and sell as many seats as you can in the interim.
Your naive faith in the evil mastermind abilities of the UFC touches my heart. I wish.
It's not mastermind. It's stupidity. I've seen stupidity do amazing things.
Well, the question also is, if you were the UFC, so what would you do, Nate?
Now, what's the question this time?
How to maximize. The championship
of Colby Covington.
reign
Well,
of
I
Colby
think
Covington.
it's time to. I need to buy a MAGA hat. That'll be a new feature. I'll put on my MAGA hat and accuse Eugene of only hating Colby because you know he's a white guy and he's about to take the belt from a black guy, and you don't like that because you're a racist black guy.
You know, somebody accused me of that before, and I put that to bed real quick. I said, hey, do you think a Japanese guy, when he's walking around the street or driving on the freeway, is like, look at that Toyota, look at that Honda. Look
I
at
know
Toyota.
they're yelling Sakuraba like half the day.
Get out.
Man.
I mean, I would be. I am. I don't know.
Yeah,
Who are you yelling?
Sakuraba!
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Who are you yelling for your heel turn, though, Kid Nate?
Who am I
Well,
yelling?
hold on. Did he really? Did you even give him a chance to address this? Because I didn't hear
I
anything.
did,
That
and
made
he
sense.
deflected it to you.
Oh,
I
so you tapped out. Is that what happened, Nate?
Get him the Trump visit. It's a fucking no-brainer. I mean, you know, with Colby, the whole deal is the problem with Colby and getting too carried away with the Colby Covington business is inevitably at some point people are going to come inside the tent and see what he actually does in the cage.
Yep.
You know, it's just like, you know, if you're selling records by somebody you can't, you know, like if you're in the Milli Vanilli business, you know, at some point the curtain's going to get pulled
true
back.
at some point.
Yeah. I mean, it's, you know, yeah. The Colby is he sucks in the cage. That's the fundamental problem. You got
There are a couple of tweaks.
things.
I think there's some tweaks that he can make in the cage when he's doing boring ass shit. A la,
no.
it's going back to wrestling.
He's
Mick
got
Foley,
Francis Carmont
You
syndrome.
hold on to a person, yawn, just make some kind of facial expressions, do some shit to gin up the crowd, and he's good.
Have all his fights in Colorado and just sell edibles.
Totally
you know,
could. I mean, look how interesting. Look how interesting. Daly made it when he was getting mugged by John Fitch. Man, that was the most interesting John Fitch fight ever. You know, he's booing himself and everything. Colby can just needs somebody to put some tweaks in there.
Well, he's got something there. These guys are like tofu. You know, tofu by itself, shit sandwich. You mix tofu with some Szechuan food, you might like it.
Yeah. Are we gonna like the heel turn, Nate?
You know, you'd like it better if we hadn't used Greg Hardy as the lead at my suggestion, because that was going to be the heel turn, and now I've got nothing. Actually, I have a tale.
A story.
A story.
Of a man named Brady.
This is, you know, I'm not literally talking about Wilt Chamberlain, but I'm just saying, imagine you are on a basketball team with Wilt Chamberlain, greatest player of his era, maybe of all time, right? Yet couldn't ever win the fucking title because he was a goddamn ball hog. A fucking never pass the ball, always takes it straight to the basket. Even if he's cold and gonna miss, always a ball hog. Imagine you are on a team.
The guy scored 100 points a game.
I know. And he's got so many Twitter followers, it's not even funny. But imagine you'd been on a team with Wilt Chamberlain for years, a team you were on first, a team he never gave a shit about, a team he walked away from. Imagine how it would feel if you saw the ass end of Wilt Chamberlain walking out of the locker room. Imagine how good that would feel. That's the heel turn of the week.
I don't get it.
Those of you been asking, you got what you asked for.
I'm built a little too low for that. It just went right over my head.
You know, maybe if I cried at the end of the show, you'd have a better idea. Wait, did I get it? I've got a check from the UFC around here somewhere. Yeah. All right. So there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Man. Eugene.
I'm not.
It's like speechless.
As Terry Lee Lewis once said to Chuck Berry, top that.
No. Listen, everybody knows where I'm going with this one. Everybody knows because you've all been tweeting me. At Eugene S. Robinson, you've been tweeting me. You're all as deeply in shock as I am. And it happened Saturday night when the camera in the audience flashed to General Gauleiter Major Chris Woodpile Weidman, who made the belt sign around his waist. We all collectively, all of us connected on Twitter, lost our minds at the same time. It took about 13 seconds before some enterprising viewer had made a GIF of him making the motion, and the mist was a flying. I mean, I want to forget about this guy. I want to focus on Joanna Jędrzejczyk still putting on her page that she's a champion. I want to, I want to focus on the fact that they fired Greg Jackson, Paul Jackson, who was the cat who fought at CM Punk.
Stonewall Jackson,
and of course have not sanctioned CM Punk at all, except to say he won't be fighting again. I'd like to focus on something else, but the effluvia of shit coming out of fucking Weidman's mouth is truly, it causes me to question sanity. And I have to say that, and I say this because can somebody be, I don't believe that any human being could be that unaware. So I'm doubling back like Princess Bride and assuming that level of unawareness is driven by a really deep-seated, heartfelt, fought-for awareness. You see what I'm saying? That it's a work. That nobody can consciously desire to stay so much in the Lost Battalion that they embrace the Lost Battalion so completely. I'm the best middleweight there is. I've got more title defenses. I got the belt. I'm making the sign in the stands for the belt. I believe 100% in my belief in myself. I am belief squared. An order of magnitude over the normal belief. That's who I am. I never lost a fight. In fact, that thing against Yael Romero, February, I don't know what happened. I don't know what happened there, but it was clearly something illegal that happened, and the ref saw a reason to stop the fight. I don't know. It's scary. It's crazy, and I'm not entirely sure it's not completely contrived. But he has earned his way. There's no question.
He's back, baby.
No, I'm talking about in the entire history. Outside of Matt Lindland laying on his back after he was knocked out and then saying to the commentator later, obviously that ref saw there was a reason to stop the fight, which I think was a sense of humor or concussion. I can't think of anybody before. I can't think of anybody since 1990 or whenever MMA started. The first one I watched who has been this much deserving of his place in the Lost Battalion. There have been like 3 different statements on top of the belt motion that have happened since fucking Saturday, and we're at Tuesday. The guy is working overtime.
The mistiest there was, is, and ever will be.
Ever will be. This is the trinity of mist. And you know how you know it's bad? Because never, ever do you see anywhere in his environs Matty Serra and Ray Longo. They're not retweeting his shit. They're not being reached for quotes. They are out of the fucking building, and that's how you know. Hey guys, I'm gonna be champion, right, guys? I guess I'll meet you at the gym.
Man, thanks for joining us. Follow us on Twitter at Eugene S. Robinson, Alex the Old Kid Nate, at Facebook MMA Pancholis. Please give us a thumbs up, Eugene.
Pancholis.
Leave comments on YouTube. Subscribe to MMANation.com on YouTube. MMA Nation on iTunes. Visit Bloody Elbow. Buy 7 Secret Sources of Inspiration. Buy Oxbow's Thin Black Duke and Buñuel's Easy Way Out wherever fine music is sold. Listen to the Let It Roll podcast. And immediately follow the show. Eugene, what do they need to do?
Right below this picture, there's a link, unless Kid Nate fucked it up. There's
a
link.
It's YouTube's fault.
Oh, it's YouTube's fault. Yeah, the bad dancer blames the shoes. And so you click the link, and it goes right over to the next show. We're going to log out and then log back into that show to take about 90 seconds. If it doesn't work, what does Kid Nate say to do? So just copy the URL, paste it in your browser, and then press return, and it should come up.
And
if you subscribe to that show,
you
wouldn't have this problem.
Exactly right. Just like patreon.com/thestomper, THESTOMPER. And the guy who I owe a t-shirt to, don't worry, I'm going to send it to you. I've just been a little lagged. I've called a bunch of people. The people who come in and level when they donate enough to get calls have all gotten calls from me. So it's a real thing.
All right. We'll be back next week with another installment if I did, and we don't know what we're going to be talking about yet because the PR mistakes have yet to be made.